Yeah.
Sorry, we didn't go live.
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, you are. Yeah, please.
Okay.
You can start it. Yeah, you can start.
Give me a second. Yeah. Is my screen visible?
1 minute. Let me see. 1 minute. It's
I think you can see.
yeah, yeah. I can see it. So
Yeah,
somewhat slow.
Anaconda one. That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see it.
Okay. Perfect. So shall I begin?
Yeah, yeah. You can start it. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. So yeah, I'm gonna. Hello guys, everyone. So what is the idea behind these lessons? I'm gonna just start from very beginning. That how we are gonna approach anything from the very basics and everything. So the first thing that we our focus will definitely be on understanding everything from very basics. And for me, I believe that when I talk about basics, I actually believe that anybody doesn't know even a single coding language. I don't think anyone knows C and C++. That's my idea while I'm teaching. Maybe you know it's very great, but for me, everybody is new to coding in these sessions we are gonna take, and we are going to start from very beginning. And our goal, when I was talking with Venkat, the goal is to reach to the most advanced level, as we are also trying to have a data science and anything. So the basic idea will be start, and the initial lessons will be focused upon very basic things such as variables, what are these, how to use them, and more or less we'll also have a lot of questions coming up in between the lessons. We are going to do lots and lots of hands on. The basic idea behind doing hands-on and coding will definitely be to make sure that anyone can build logics, because in the end logics are more important when you talk about any coding work or anything like that. So yeah, so that's some or less, and I can't see the chat anything like that, but definitely we can have some doubt sessions also after these lessons, or anybody who comes up, we will figure out that. That's not a problem. So let's begin with Python, and I hope that you actually learn something out from here, and maybe you can implement that, and maybe you become a great in this technical journey. So yeah, that's was just a basic introduction about what we are gonna cover. And if that's the thing what we're gonna cover, we are going almost covering everything around it. Maybe more or less more beyond the things we have planned. We'll just decide between when the sessions go ahead. Okay, so before we start, we let's start from the very basics. So there are certain things in coding that are known as IDE. So it's an integrated development environment. So basically, what is an IDE? So when we talk about what IDE is, so I'm just gonna start here. So what IDE is basically, when why do we code? Actually, if we just start this discussion, it's a very long discussion and not so interesting. But we code because we need to do certain tasks with the help of computer. That's the whole idea. That computer, we believe computer is a very intelligent thing, and we just need to how to use it. So how to use, we definitely use certain things, certain parameters, or certain keywords that help us communicate with the help of certain tools with the computer. So that tools more or less are coding languages that help us perform these interesting tasks, such as whatever task you pick up in this world. When we're doing this meeting also, there is a lot of codes that have gone through behind it. Whatever is happening around it is done on the basis of the computer, and how people can use it, how we can actually efficiently use it is the major part. So to use it efficiently, we use various tools. And to use tools, I mean, let's say very frankly, let's say we use Python. Python is very tremendous thing. We can use it to do a lot of things. So we say, I use Python to do all these things. But how can I use Python? Can I use Python in this paint screen? If I write something, will it work? No, it won't work. It will need some development environment that we need so that it can work. So one of the ID, there are lots and lots of IDs. I think you might have heard VS Code, PyCharm, and lots of them are there. The one we are going to use in this code is Anaconda. And don't worry, today's lesson, we won't be using Anaconda at all. I really want you guys to take some time out and maybe just download that Anaconda. Maybe that might be your homework for today. So you can just have to go to anaconda.com, just Google it right now. Whichever you OS do you use, I use Windows. It automatically shows me Windows. I'm just going to click here and it will automatically download. It will take plenty of time for you, like half an hour or 1 hour. So make sure that you have enough time in your hand, because the size is also big. So yeah, just make sure you do that. That will be great. So Anaconda is, if I talk about what Anaconda is, so Anaconda is actually the biggest it's one of a very big package that actually offers. One of the things we are going to use in Anaconda is Jupyter Notebook. That's our major interest, Jupyter Notebook, which will help us in coding. But there are a lot of additional tools that will be coming along Anaconda. So make sure that you download it fully. So basically, what is Jupyter? Jupyter is just like an IDE. Although when I show you some hands-on, you'll understand what exactly I'm talking about. So till now, you have to just download Anaconda, and we are gonna start from scratch in the next session how to start actually using Anaconda. So advantages of Anaconda definitely include lots and lots of modules of Python. What are modules? Again, a big discussion, but definitely modules are important to in your Python journey. So definitely lots and lots of modules will come along this. So very simple, and it's free of cost. Definitely, it's very free. You can use almost anything in this for free. So definitely just try and download this one. And yeah, that's it. I'm not going to use it today for sure because I really want you guys to take some time out. So I'm not going to use it today. So what are we going to use today? So Google offers plenty of things to us. So one of them is online Python compiler that we can use. Any Python compiler you can use that is online. So you can just search it out and you will definitely find lots and lots of them. So you can use gdb.com. Program is, I think program is very good looking. So I'm going to use this one so that any one of you can see it and understand what exactly I'm trying to do here. So yeah, that's what a Python compiler or a Python IDE looks like. So basically, if I say in a very layman term, although it won't be correct, but very layman term, I'm gonna just say that whichever screen lets you write your codes and get a the output for definitely is an IDE. And I'm assuming some of the people are definitely an experienced coders, so they might know IDs and everything. It's very basic for them. But this session is really very, very basic sessions that we're gonna start from very basics and go till very farther away. So I'm gonna try to cover every single doubt here and there. Yeah. So this is an IDE that looks like this is an IDE. This is screen where you can write any code, whichever code you wanna code for. So that's the whole idea behind it. So what are we gonna cover today? So we are gonna starting off Python officially today, and so the major advantage of learning Python or any other language is that the major concepts that go beyond any language remains same throughout. What do I mean by that? That always remember that the syntax keeps on changing and the implementation sometimes changes, but what remains same is the idea behind it. So if you learn some logics, you'll definitely can implement that in Python, in C++, and everywhere. So make sure that you pick one language and try to learn everything about it, and then you can switch very easily. It's very simple. So that's my whole idea when I'm going to teach this Python sessions. So the basic idea will definitely move along that how I can actually switch from this one to this one. Also, we can discuss that part. Although, so one of the topics that we're going to start off today is variables. So what are variables? So if I just try to elaborate variables, so before I try to elaborate variables, what are the use cases? So variable concept will remain same throughout your coding journey, whichever language or mostly every technology has some or the other variable. So you can definitely see that thing. So how to understand variables? Like people still use variables every time, but they are not actually totally correct or totally, you know, thorough about this concept that if I'm talking about variables, I mean this thing. So let's just try to break this ice today and just try to understand what variables are exactly. So if I just talk about a variable, I'm going to just take a very small and steady example. I'm going to take an example of container. So just look like I know my handwriting and drawing are not that good, but just try to bear with me. So this is a container. Okay, this is a container. Okay. So what does this container look like? This container can have an ability to fill, or this container has the ability to keep things inside it, right? So if I how and I'm gonna just do both of these, together. So what happens? There is a container, and I'm naming this container, let's say A. I'm naming this container as A. So I have a new container now A, and I'm gonna just write it here A as well. Now, the idea of using this container is to store something. If you just take your example in the real world as well, you just need certain things to store up, right? You need something so that if you have a container, you need to store something. That's why you buy that container or something. So let's say I have this container, I want to store something. So I'll just say A, and let's say I want to store this 2 here. Okay. I'm just storing this 2 here, which is a number. And here also, I'm just saying, hey, can you store this 2 here? Okay. So what happens? This container says, okay. Now I'm storing 2. So how are we understanding these concepts? Let's just try to make sure that we are on the same page for this one. So if you just see this part here, if you understand this part, a lot of basics parts will be covered for you because it's very important. So what we are saying here is this is a is a variable, and in this variable I'm assigning a value. I'm assigning a value in this variable. Okay, this value can keep on change, but now if you call this variable or you call this container, you will result this answer. Okay, so if I just try to make sure that this part gets totally correct in your mind, so what I'll do, I'll just simply say, just have an arrow here. So what does this arrow state? That 2 gets stored inside A. 2 gets stored inside A. People try to confuse it a lot that A is getting stored to. No, no, no. Just 2 is the value. Value always gets stored inside a variable. So make sure 2 gets stored inside A. So now very simple. Now when let's say I call A, so I think you guys all know the answer. If I call A, so how do I call A in Python? Basically, there's a function called as print. So print function has the ability to output anything. So I say I want to output something. Let's say I want to output my name here, or I want to output, let's say, hi to all. So I say hi, and I run this one. So definitely I get hi here. Similarly, I can just call upon a variable like this, A, and I can run this one. So I get basically 2 here. Okay. So what happens is when you call a variable, you get the answer of that value. Okay. So that's the whole logic behind using variable. Now it's not very simple, I think. Okay, so yeah, I can't see the doubts, but yeah, I believe I'm going to repeat everything again so that it makes sense to you. So whenever we are having certain things as variables, so whatever you assign to a variable gets automatically stored inside that container or variable, and you can, whenever you call that container, the value A will be, whenever you call A, so 2 will get printed out. So when 2 will get printed out, the whole logic says that yeah, the so container values get printed out. That's the whole logic behind using variables, so that I can have this where somewhere stored, right? We want certain things to get stored somewhere so that it's very easy to access. Otherwise, it becomes very hectic thing for us. Similarly, I'm going to change the data types now. So I'm going to say hi here. So when I say hi, so you can see I put quotes here. So quotes basically, we are now coming to the part called data types. Okay, data types. So in data types, we just try to cover one of the numbers. So in numbers, we have integers. The first data type was integer. Okay, now we are covering string. This is called as string. Basically, string is anything that you write inside the quotes. So I wrote hi here, and when I say print hi, so basically it gets hi here. That's the whole part about it. One more thing, let's do it. Okay, so I'm just gonna say here 2.5. What is 2.5? Whether it's an integer or a string, it's none of them. It's basically float. Okay, what is float? Anything that has a decimal to it is a float. So you can see it's float. Now, what I'm saying, you will say, it doesn't make sense to us. You are just saying it's float. How can I prove this up? So let's try to prove these things up now. Let's try to go deep inside this coding part. So basically, when I talk about languages like Python, when I talk about languages like C++ or Java, there is a big, big difference. Let's try to just decode that difference at this point right now. So whenever you declare a variable in, let's say, any language like Java, you actually need to provide the data type of that variable in that language. That hey, data type of this language is this. Okay, that's the whole part, right? But in Python, you don't declare that. Okay, you don't declare that. Okay, so when you don't declare data type, how does a Python know? So that's where it comes that Python is a new age language, and it automatically knows what data type you have. I'm going to prove it right now to you. So I'm just going to have a function. The function name is type, and I'm going to just say A. So basically, this function this function should actually tell me what is a type of A. I'm not telling it anything. I'm just going to say print type of A, and I'm just going to say here on it. And as soon as I do that, it basically, give me a second. see. Give me a second. Let's just have another window for this one. Let's reload this. So you get class float now. So basically, it automatically judges itself and say, this is a float. Okay, the float it worked. Let's just try for the strings and everything. So I'm just gonna say here, uh, hi like this, and I'm going to run this one. So it says automatically it's a string. Similarly, if I just try to assign uh, 12 here, I'm just gonna say it gets in vain. So what have we discussed till this point? We discussed variables. So just assume variable as a box of containers. So when variables are a box of containers, so whatever value you assign to that variables or containers, that automatically, whenever you call that variable, this will actually print the value there. Okay, print the value of the thing that has been stored inside it. That's the whole part. Second thing we have to discuss about data types. So there are lots and lots of data types. We are gonna cover list. That's a big thing. But integer, float, and string are the basic ones that are being used around. So when we just try to understand these parts, so very simple. If I say I want to know, so basically the difference between C++ and Java on a broad scale, or C++ or Python or Java or Python, the broad scale difference is that we don't need to declare the type. That's a very big time saver. It's very difficult for coders sometimes to just declare it, and maybe they get a lot of thrown up errors. Here we simply declare something, and the Python says I'll automatically recognize that and will help you use it. Okay, just give me a second. Okay, yes, this part is clear till now. So now let's move further and let's try to understand lots of things all together. So meanwhile, before I move further, let's just try some things around. Let us try and do some things. So one of the things we are gonna try is most of the simple things, that is how to have a sum and everything. So I just have two numbers here. I say b equals to 23, and if I want to add these things, simply I can follow many approaches. I can have another variable. In this variable I'm going to say maybe a plus b, okay, and just say print c. Okay, I can have this approach. Okay, or I can have another approach in which I say I don't want this c a plus b to come. I just want it to be stored directly there, and I'm just gonna do this way, a plus b. So this will give me the sum of it. Okay, so these are some approaches that we use. Now I'm going to just show you what are different operations you can perform. So this is the addition you can perform. Okay, and please guys, when you go, just try all of these things. It's always very simple, but just try it out. So let's say this is the way we can print the sum. Similarly, let's have this one and say we want to subtract something out of it. Similarly, let's do this one, and here I'm going to say minus. So this will give me the difference of it. So this is the subtraction, minus 11. Similarly, we can have a multiplication as well, and similarly, we can have a division as well. One thing that I think most of you might not know is that you can use a sign called as modulo. So basically, what is a modulo? So modulo is just like a remainder. So basically, when you are dividing something, you always get a remainder, 0 or 1 or 2, whatever you get after you divide something. So the remainder, if you want just that remainder, you can just simply have it percent. And let me make it much more efficient for you. So I'm just gonna have here, let's say 5. So you can see when we divide 12 by 5, what are we assuming? We're assuming 2 as the remainder, right? So we just get that 2. So these are certain operations that we have. Okay, so the next thing we cover trial is operations. So these things although doesn't make much more effort, but when these things, when you get a question about anything, these all things will come up there, and you will have to actually make sure that this whole thing you know about it. Okay, so this one we have completed. Yeah, so very simple things we have tried to complete out, and we can actually do all of it together. Yeah, next thing. So next thing always is, what if I don't want it to be a hard code, or I don't want these values to basically come up and like these values should always and always come as we have to put it every time. Why can't we just make it more dynamic, or why can't we take the value from the users? So we just simply can use one function called as input. So this function has a capability that you can actually, when you write it, so what will happen, this will actually ask the user to input it. So basically, if I run right now, I should just give one more example if I run it. So basically, in input, we have some parameters. We can pass some parameters or we cannot. It's up to us. So the parameter is a thing, a statement you want before. So let's say I say enter the number, enter the number. Okay, run. So it says enter the number. I say 12. And next, it doesn't show me anything. Why? Because I haven't put enter the number here, right? So I have to just write it randomly. I'll just say 5. When I do this, I get a very wrong answer, right? Why do I get this wrong answer? We'll come to that. But if you see, this is the parameter makes sense to you, right? So now I say enter the number 2. So now we have the parameters are in place. Okay. Okay. So now if you say enter the number 1, so I just say 12. Again, I say 5. But again, the answer is wrong. Answer is wrong because we are not yeah, the answer is wrong because we actually are not able to use this input correctly. So before we try to understand what this is wrong inside this, we have to understand, whenever you face doubts, whenever you face errors in this whole part, just try to figure out what are you using and what was the idea behind it. So right now we are using input, enter the number 1. So the problem is that this input will always return you a string. So input always returns a string. So basically, why is going wrong is input always returns a string. So why it's wrong? Because when it returns a string can't be used as a modulo, right? That will spoil the purpose, right? So our idea here will be that we try to convert this string into an integer so that I can use it further. So I'll just simply say maybe int here, int, and this I'll just say int, and here we go again. Now when you run this, so enter the number 1, I say 34, and I say 17. So it says 0 because 17, when 34 divided by 17 is gives 0 remainder. Let's have a space here, and this one, and the number 12, 6. Okay, so this is the whole prospect. So you can use this input anywhere, and that's the whole part you can use. So yeah, okay. So discussed we what we have discussed till now. We discussed variables. We have discussed one data type, that was just try to understand a big theory about data types, and we also discussed how to use these input things, how to make our code more automation, or have more automation in our codes. Now let's just come to one of the different topics, and that topic is string. Okay, let's come to string now. Okay, so this is a big topic. So let's just try to understand what strings are, how to use these strings, how to understand these strings and everything. So first of all, what is a string? So yeah, so if I say I have a variable a and I'm just gonna have hi in the string. So if I have hi in it and I don't print it out, let's just print it out as well. And meanwhile, yeah, I think I haven't covered this part. Uh, so next part is that I think I haven't covered this part. So basically, what I'm doing, I'm using hash. What are these? So basically, these are comments. So there are certain things that you want your uh, code to not see or interpret anything. Right now, I want this my code to read this, but I don't want my code to read this. This is for my information. So whenever you want to have something for your own information, just make sure that you use this. hash, and this will actually be a comment. So basically, comment is just for your sake, just to make sure you understand the code, and the people you're passing on your codes or the way that you're working, just make sure that this works. Okay, next. So this is a string. So when I just showed you how we print a string and stuff. So I was gonna again do the same exercise now. Now, how we are gonna discuss a lot of things inside the string, and if you understand the string concepts well, you won't face issues in the list concepts. So make sure that you see the string concepts very well and understand these very good, and so that that won't be much issue when you are doing the list part. Okay. So now in this string part, we have a hi, and I'm going to printing a. What if a use case comes to me and this is like this: hi, how are you? And somebody just gave me this part and said, this is my string. Can you only print a here? Can you only print a here? So I'm like, okay, how can I print a here? How I need to. So if I want to print a here, what do I need exactly? So the first thing you will need is how to locate how to locate this a, right? How to locate this a. If you are able to figure that out, maybe you can just apply some operations and do that, right? That's the thing we need to do. If I want to, let's say, print a, only print a. If I located it, I'm just gonna simply press one command of print or something, maybe some logic there, and that will actually give me the statement. That's the whole part. So how to locate it, how to find out that it is getting stored somewhere like this. So what happens is, in coding languages or in anywhere around the technical part, what happens is everything is assigned some address, everything assigned some memory. Otherwise, that's of no use, right? If I don't assign it, how will I use it, right? So when I'm assigning this variable is acquiring a space. When I'm assigning a value to it, this is acquiring a space and some segments and some systems. There's a lot of theory goes behind. We might cover this in some of the sessions coming forward. But how I'm gonna relocate A is one of the use cases now. So to discuss this use case, so first of all, we need certain things here, and the use case we are doing is we need to relocate this part. Okay, or any part. I'm not concerned about A. Maybe next time they ask me why or anything, but right now they're asking me A. So if I need to relocate A, I should know where A is located. So if somebody might of you, or maybe I would say, hey, it's located in A. What's it's fine. It's a variable A, as I told you before. So you might say, man, you told us before that it's in a container. So the container name is A. So yeah, it's located in A. Why are you asking us? Where in A? That's the idea. So basically, whatever you store inside a variable or anywhere gets a space. And to how do they get the space? They get the space through something called as indexing, 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 or something called as maybe addressing. Maybe you want to address something, right? You want to provide the address of that part. So to understand this concept, let's just try to have a real life model, and that maybe look like this way. Okay, yeah. Okay. So just assume there is a building. Okay, and the building name is, let's say, uh, build let's say b ba1 or something. Okay, that's a building name, or let's say only ba. Okay, so ba is a building name, any initials you can take, ba. So I know the if somebody, my friend lives, let's say, in this building and there are flats around it, so they just say, come to ba, that's a building name. I come there. Now I say, man, where do you live? So how do I figure this out? I say, go to the building BA, and let's say he lives on this flat. So this is ground one, two, three. He lives in third floor. So I simply say, hey, just go to BA and just go to third floor. You will find this flat. And you say, man, it's nice. Similarly, if I'm talking about this, hi, how are you? I'm saying the building name is A, the building name is A, and I need to relocate A. So I am assuming that there are more flat buildings or something which will be storing A there. Okay, you have to just make sure you count. So this is called as indexing. So what does indexing say? Indexing states that every basically indexing states that whatever you are storing will get stored from zero. That means, as we are talking about the location part, we are talking about the addressing part, we're talking about the indexing part. So it basically starts with zero. So basically, the address of the first thing will be zero and it will go back and forth. Okay, we just need to count it out. We'll simply say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. That's it. So I simply say, hey, the address of this is 7. And you told me, man, that I need the building name. So the building name is A7. So I say you are absolutely right. But you have to just make sure that you use the correct coding or correct language. So the correct language states that you have to put the variable A here, then have rectangular brackets, and then write the index of the thing you want to print out. You say, okay, it makes sense to me. I'll just simply go here and say maybe print A7. I run this one. It gives me A. Why it is giving me A? Basically, we relocated. We said, hey, go to A and then just go to the seventh address there. So that's what I told you, right? Go to A and go to the seventh flat. Okay. Next thing, let's say somebody comes. Let's make one more example. Let somebody come and say, I want the address of. Hey, can you tell me the address of W? I say, okay, it's also nice. You can say 0123 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You simply say 5 and you run this one, W. So this is called as indexing. This is called as indexing. This concept will remain same throughout, whether you take layers, whether you take dictionary, whether you take anything. There you can relocate everything. Okay. So we relocated this part. So now the next thing is, what if this goes? Uh, let's type something. Let's say I type Python history. So basically, this will throw me some big text, I guess. So it says, Python history and versions and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna have a big text. Let's have this one. And I'm gonna go here and say, this way. Let's remove this one now. And I'm gonna just say, py text. This is a variable name. In this variable name, I'm just storing this much amount of text. Okay. Now somebody tells me and says, can you print this G? So you would say, man, how will I count from T to G? It's like a huge text. So I say, we should figure out something. So there is one more thing you can figure it out, and that is, there is one positive indexing and there is one negative indexing in every single of them. Okay. So the first, there is a positive indexing that's going around. So this is a positive indexing. The positive indexing we counted like from 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. The negative indexing states I'll start from the back. This is -1, this is -2, and we'll go till fourth. So now I know what is G. It's -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8. Again, the address of the building and the address of the flat, by text and 7, right? -7. I write this one like this, print text -7, and let's see what we get. We get S. Oh, okay. We need one more. I think 9, I guess. G. Okay. So you can see we get this one. So this is the whole logic behind this one, that you can have one positive indexing, one negative indexing, and this will work for you. Now, again, a problem comes. And the problem is that if somebody asks you, can you print this was, or let's just take something similar, let's just remove this uh, programming, or let's just remove this one so that we don't need this one. If somebody asks you and say, man, can you print this all was? You say, I know how to print W, I know how to print A, I know how to print S. Maybe I can add them, right? But how can I print this together, right? How can I print this together? So then there comes another concept, and that concept is again a part of this is the advancement of what we are doing right now. What we are doing right now is addressing, indexing. The advancement of this is where we want to, get a whole word or a whole keyword from the text, right? So how do we do that? We just simply say, hey, I know the initial value. The initial value is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's 11. And it's 11. So initial value is 11, I know. I just print it out, I get W, right? I get W. The final value is 13, I know that. I'll just simply say, hey, can you print one more value? Let's just place this on. So the next thing is this one. So I'll just simply say this one. So W and S. So I can also print A, but now the problem is that I don't want them like to be this scattered. This doesn't make sense to us, right? We actually need a word or a keyword out of it. So what we'll do, we'll just simply say, hey, can I get all of it? So the slicing part says, yes, you can get it. Just need two things. The first one is the initial keyword you want, and the second one is the final keyword you want, or the final address you want, initial address and final address. So you just simply say 11, and then you just simply say the final one is, let's say, 13. Right, the final one is 13, and you just simply say this way. Okay, you run this one, you get an error for sure, or not an error, you get only WA. Why you get WA? Because the outer limit is not included. Okay, so we'll just simply change it to 14. Once I change it to 14, now everything is sorted, it gets me WAS. So this is called as slicing. This is called as slicing. So what is slicing? When somebody asks you what is slicing, man, so you should know that slicing is just extracting a string or something from a big string or something. Overall, these things are very basic at this point, but once you start doing questions, these are the places where people get stuck. So make sure that you have good command on all the basics that you learn, and there are a lot of resources online that you can maybe search it out and do. Okay. Next question might come to us that can we add two strings? Right? Can we add two strings, or we basically try to add two strings? And yes, we can do that. How can we do that? We just need a string. Let's say my first string is, let's say, A is, let's say, hi, and B is hello. If I just simply say print the same way I was doing with the numbers, print A plus B, and I run this one, so I get hi hello, right? Now, if I just have a space, it will make sense to you. Yeah, hi hello. So what is it? We can add two strings. What is it called? It's called as string concatenation. Concatenation. Okay. So this is called as string concatenation. This is a topic also we have covered. Okay. Okay. So what does string concatenation do? Basically, it just states that all as soon you know that you can add two numbers, you can add two, three float numbers or anything. Similarly, you can also add this way. You can also add the whole. You can add multiple strings together. What if I want to add three strings? You can simply add that too. How will you do that? You will just simply say, hi, hello, man, how are you? Like this way, how are you? And let's have two exclamation marks. And we just do this way and we run this one. So let's say I have to change it here also, A plus B plus C. And I run this one. It says, hi, hello, how are you? So this is called as string concatenation. So I hope this one makes sense to you. Although we have covered a lot today, but let's just try to cover a couple of more topics. So give me a second. Yeah. So what have we tried to figure out today is just some certain what are variables, what data types do we have in Python. Although we have more out of these, what is float, what is string, how do we do operations on numbers, how can we use a string, or what is indexing, basically what is slicing, and what is string concatenation and everything. So we just try to cover all of these, and the next thing we are going to cover right now is string. Next thing we are going to cover is string methods. So let's just do that also. Okay. Okay. So this is what we have discussed. Next thing is very important, that is known as string methods. So let's just try to cover this as well. If you have just a doubt, just make sure you have it somewhere stored, and yeah, so you can maybe ask whenever we just try to figure out certain things for you, so that doubts gets cleared. Although it's very basic, but make sure that you go and read all of it, all these topics. Maybe I'll just send a screenshot to someone and they will maybe post it somewhere. So you have this with you. Okay. The next thing we actually want to do or cover is string methods. What are string methods? So basically, when we talk about methods as a whole thing, when we talk about methods as a whole thing, so methods are a part in a programming language which helps us uh, ease our efforts or something. Okay, so string methods will go for this session as well as for next session also. So there are lots of string methods. I'm not going to cover all of them, but I'm going to cover all the major ones of them. So make sure that you see all of it once you come to the next session. Okay. So the first string methods. First of all, let's understand what string method is. Okay. Let's just start with a very simple example. Let's say I have this one a, and it's high here. All are small. Let's say somebody tells me, can you uppercase it? So one way was doing this way. Okay, which all of us might have clicked. Hey, it's very simple. But what if the text is too large? What if the text is too high? What do we need it urgently? What, different use cases come. So we can simply use one thing. And how do we use a method? We write the variable name first, variable name, then we write a dot, and then we write the method name. Okay, then we write the method name. So when you follow this syntax, you will realize that the variable name, I was commenting this one. Okay, I was gonna comment this one. So if you see, the variable name for us is a, and the method, I'm gonna just tell you the method, it's upper. You can use upper for having it uppercase. You can use it this way. And let's run this. Let's see what we get. And just let's print a, and let's just store it inside a also. A equals to a dot upper. You can see you get capital. What if you have capital? What if you have capital one? What if you have capital one? Okay. What if you have capital one? Let's say here you have capital one. You will simply say, "Hey man," like that. So you can just simply have use one of them, that is known as LOWER. Okay, man. I'm not using lower for the lower vowel. So lower, and you can simply go and run. So you can simply say, "Hey, man." So this is a very simple way to demonstrate you what method actually looks like. Methods are very, 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 very important, and strings are pretty much easier as a data type as compared to data types like list or dictionaries. But my idea while teaching you all of this whole together is, if I make you stretch something on the first part, it's really very easier for you on the second part. When I come to the list part, this indexing, this slicing, this whole methods, for method name will change, functionality will change, but the use, how to use it, will actually be stick to you once you basically be at with the strings. So let's just try to discuss couple of more methods, and then we'll call it for a day. And give me a second. Yeah, so let's do some simple one. What if you want to, let's say, simply, we'll do one, some, all of it later. Let's do a simple one. Yeah, so let's do a simple one. And one of them we can definitely use is, okay, okay. Let's say, if I say there is one more method, okay, and let's say I have a big string, let's say I have a string, and the string says, hey, how is your weekend? This is my string. I'll simply say, hey, can you find me something? It will say, what do you want to find? I'll say, can you find me H? And can you find me H? And maybe just print it to me. I'll say, okay, can you print this to me? I'll simply say print A, and I run this one. It gives me, oh, I should store some other variable. Right. I'll say C. I run this one. It says 4. Is it right? You find H 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's absolutely right. What if I change it to capital H? It says 0. Why it says 0? Because H has 0 automatically. So why I have shown you this one? So now your homework is very pretty much clear. You have to use indexing to do certain tasks, whatever you like, more or less. But make sure when the text become larger, you use this method to search for that one. If you remember, we said Python history. I just copied, I think this one. Okay, this one. Okay, we copied this one. I copied this one. I'm just giving you some assignment right now. Although it's nobody's going to check it, but it's for just for you. So make sure you do it properly. So let's say I have a string, this string, and if somebody asks me, so let's just, can you find R? So you don't need to count it all. You just need to do this method that, hey, this is, let's, the variable name is, let's say, new var or something. Okay. So if the variable name is new var, you have to just apply it to new var dot find, and you have to just find capital R. Okay. And if you find capital R, then you can print it out. Let's say you want to find draw sum total, you can do it. So all these things you can do it, and you can maybe understand, will give you much more depth. Once you do all of this, I think you will be pretty much clear with these basics. Then I can move forward with more string methods, and then we'll cover the string methods. So that's it for today. Okay, that's it for today. We have pretty much completed these things today. I'm just gonna write some more things here. I think I might miss one or two, but I just try to maintain this directory so that you guys can take a reference afterwards. So find, I think lower also we did. Okay, this is the thing we did. I'm gonna send it to someone, and maybe they can send it to you guys. And so yeah, that's it. Maybe keep your doubts stored in a variable or something, and I'll have them answer sometime soon. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Okay, see you then.
Yeah, hi. It was a great session, and we are covering the basics at first so that all can have some hands-on basics. These are the sessions, and who are interested to join the class and updates, if anyone needed updates regarding the classes and timings and syllabus and everything, can join our Telegram group, that is Open Innovation Club. You can see our logo, Rignan, in that. Where we can post all your homeworks and everything, and updates regarding the class and everything, and you can go ahead. And Thank you for the joining the session, and we'll call for the day. Thank you, everyone.